So there was a lot of things that happened in this episode that had me a little freaked out, but then I realized that this was just episode 2 in season 3, so I'm good. Hi guys, my name is Maria Park and this is Approach to Nerd, and in this episode we are reviewing Charmed season 3, episode 2, entitled Someone's Going to Die. And somebody died. So Maggie has this vision. And honestly, everything that happened in this vision plays out in this series. I mean, verbatim, like every aspect of this vision plays out. Not in order, but plays out. Everything from literally the door to the tree and the guardian being open, them being blasted. Well, I mean, even down to Swan. Yes, she saw Swan, in this vision. So everything happened. And one of the things that freaked her out was that she saw somebody take their last breath. And that person just happened to be Julian. So this review may be a little all over the place, and I apologize because I don't really want to go as a recap, verbatim, scene by scene by scene. I will do my best, but if you're watching this, you've already watched the episode, and so I just need to get to the questions. So Maggie has a premonition. She starts having a panic attack. Like, the girls go and see the guardian to ask what's up. And the guardian, being vague as hell, was like, I wish I could tell you that somebody's not going to die today, or that the destruction of the sisterhood's not today. And it's just like, just stop. She does, however, tell them that if a human touches the black amber pool, that basically all of the magical world will be poisoned. So I'm already thinking, red flag, red flag, red flag. So, of course, the sisters are like, well, we could just seal the door and make sure nobody can get in. And the guardian's like, yeah, but that also means we can't, get out, and it's permanent. And so Maggie's like, then we can't use, we can't teleport in the command center to go save witches anymore. And we can't use the magical witch computer. And I'm like, all of the magical world being poisoned, teleporting. You have a white lighter. I was just like, oh God, here we go. So I already knew that was an epic, stupid moment, because if they just sealed it then, all of the events would not have unfolded. I mean, yeah, some of them would, but the repercussions of, them not sealing it right when they had the idea, was going to play out. Because that's one thing I will say about these sisters, is that they literally do things. Like, they sometimes come up with very good ideas and very questionable ideas, like what they did last week, by, making Jimmy basically a good guy to everybody he walks by, giving him the mind virus, basically. But I just felt like that was a pivotal moment for them to get it right. It's like, you know what? We're going to be the charmed ones that have sense. We're going to seal the door. Nobody can get in or out to get the amber. Nobody can touch something if they can't get through it. Bada bing. So, that was the first thing in this episode. I was like, okay, what the hell? So let's move on. So Macy and Harry, so Hasey, they are having a lot of issues trusting Julian, because Julian's supposed to be on their side now. They do this imitation spell where he's able to change into Nadia. So they make him Nadia, and then they take the real Nadia and they give her an incantation, like an Inception idea that, oh, the faction doesn't exist. So they do that. She doesn't know what the faction is, and then they orb her, or according to them, across the globe. So who knows where she is? So he's undercover around Viv, which is not the brightest thing in the world, honestly, because we learned last week that Julian was not up on any of the plans that were happening, in terms of Viv, and Viv's right hand was Nadia. So of course she's gonna think something's off, but I'll get to that in a second. So yeah, he's doing his undercover stuff, and then we learn that Viv made a prism, and the prism is like this power siphoning glove, and she basically, they learned in the episode, killed every magical creature that they had and siphoned all their power. And, Harry and the girls are mortified by this. But then I have to say to myself, but you weren't that mortified when you realized to do this spell, you had to get a fresh siren's tongue. She's a magical creature. I'm like, whatever. Whatever. So, yeah, the creatures are all, every one of them. And when Harry looks at the computer, they all are dead. That's messed up. So, yeah, Viv is she pretty much is the conqueror in a way. But she's not, I don't feel like she's the actual cause and effect of the destruction of the sisterhood, which according to the preview for the 14th, actually, we kind of learned exactly what's going to go down. But I will get to that in a second too, because I've got some things to say about it. All right. So while Hasty was having this, do we trust Julian? Do we not trust Julian? And of course, Mel and Maggie are like, we agree with Harry. Can we really trust, Julian? I mean, he was on the faction side, even though he's not as bad as Viv. We don't know where his loyalties lie, yada, 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 yada. So they don't like it. So they, basically, Harry is going to go to check out the situation because Julian, as Nadia, let them know that there's a Faraday basically a perimeter around the faction, so nothing or no one with magical anything can get in, which means Harry, being a white lighter, can't get in and the charmed ones can't get in. So they find this spell called Turn the Tides, and this spell will allow them to reverse what basically the Faraday perimeter does. So instead of keeping magical creatures out, it allows them to go in. So it's a reversal. But to do this spell, they have to have a coven, which they have 3 of them. There's 3 sisters, so that's enough to have a coven. And they need a Sagnet crystal. And Mel gets it from Ruby, which is really, it turns out, an excuse to see Ruby. But I love how Ruby was like, this isn't rare. You could pretty much get that anywhere. And then I was thinking, yeah, like Mel, the store that Kat left you, the whole freaking magical ingredient store upstairs in Safe Space. But yeah, whatever, she wanted to see Ruby. So she sees Ruby and she tells Ruby what's going on, about how they're facing somebody really dangerous, has a lot of power, and they have one chance to stop this person, and it is right now. And then Ruby's like, this is not the last time I'm going to see you. And like Mel's like, well, gotta go. Like, short and sweet. I really like Ruby. I think she's gorgeous. I think she's sweet. I just don't see her with Mel. I don't even feel like they have chemistry. Like I said, I mean, I may just be biased because I am absolutely Abba-Mel right now. And I want Ruby to stay in the show, just not as I want her to be an NPC in Mel's love life. That's basically it. But I digress. So they do the spell. And then something happens that makes me question the universe of Charmed again. So Harry's there, he finds out all the magical creatures are dead. He's going off to find Viv. And Macy's like, no, not alone. And she's like, well, I'm coming there too. And of course, Maggie and Meryl are like, hello, we need a coven to hold this spell, to make sure that you can get through the perimeter. And then they're like, well, we'll hold it. We'll start it, and then you give it to us, and we'll hold it. And Macy's like, okay. So Macy's going to go get her man. Harry didn't need her. I'm like, Harry did not need Macy there at all. By Macy going there, Viv was able to read her mind and figure out where the Black Amber is. Had Macy not been there, had Harry brought his butt back to the command center, she wouldn't have found it. So, the death of the episode was Julian. And the reason I just said it like that is because Julian and Viv, the consequences and their fates were very rushed in this episode. I know they were trying to tie up the big chunk of season 2 because of COVID and not being able to finish the season. But yeah, Julian died. Viv killed Julian using her magical prism glove because she basically asked him a question that only Nadia would know, which I knew was going to happen, and he didn't know how to answer that question. He answered the hotel part, but Nadia apparently had never gone on this trip with Viv, so she then knew that was not really Nadia. And so instead of him trying to on the fly come up with another reason why, because he was trying to find the prism, he decided to try and reason with Viv, and she realized that it was Julian. And then he called her out, basically for lying about Rosemary. And she killed him. Well, she started turning half his body into stone. So essentially he died, which is messed up. And he died as Nadia. He died almost as Nadia. When he was talking to Macy right before he died, he was still Nadia. And he said, I'm sorry. And she said, I'm sorry too. And then she runs off to go find Viv. And then, and I'm just going to keep doing that. And then as he's dying, he turns back to himself. So Julian is dead. And then Viv is all powerful, and she reads Macy's mind. And instead of finishing Macy off right there, which she could have, she, basically teleports away. So then Harry and Macy teleport back to the command center. And then they see on the map that the 3 witches that are in danger are them. Because, of course, Viv is coming there. So then they decide, let's seal the door. And I'm like... Okay, disclaimer. You know I love Charmed. You know I love these characters. But guys, come on. So, of course, Viv comes and she blasts all of them until they like pass out for a sec, giving her time to walk in and put her hands in the damn black amber pool. So basically they failed their mission. Then she comes out even more powerful and crazy looking and, black eyes, everything, cray cray. And she's taking on the charm ones. And so they start using the power of 3 against her. And of course, Viv's like, I'm going to be so happy to take your power. And then Maggie's like, trust me. Just trust me. She can take all of the power, blah, 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 blah. And she ends up blowing up, basically. They blow her up. That fight was nothing. So Viv died very quickly. The whole revelation of the prism down to her getting, being all powerful for the 10-second fight. That's what it was. So I'm just going to leave that alone because it's not even worth talking about anymore. Interestingly enough, though, when they were doing the Turn the Tide spell, though, with Mel actually started bleeding out of her nose and she passed out. My theory is, which is probably self-explanatory, or it actually could be something else, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory, is she has an active power. She's able to manipulate molecules. She can speed them up so fast that they, basically are inflamed or cause heat or fire, or she can slow them down to where they actually freeze with her Elsa power. And what I think was happening when she said, I think it's like my powers, it's like, I'm burning on the inside, is they turn that tide spell. She's not immune to it. So it was causing her powers to turn back on herself. That's what I think was going on. I mean, if you guys have another theory, I am open to it. But that's why I think that she was affected by that. So yeah, that happened. Side story. We see we see Jordan. How could I say Jordan when I meant, how could I say Julian when I meant Jordan? So baby Jordan, Jordy, whatever we want to call him now. He's off doing what Abigail wanted him to do. He's like in some kind of woods in this like rundown looking house, or like where you see this rundown looking house. He's going to get something. Now, originally Abigail said, I want you to take a message to my sister, but he comes back with something in this pouch. And, we don't know what it is. And Maggie even says, what is that? And he's like, something Abigail wanted. He didn't look at it. So I was actually more interested in his journey because it was like you see him going to this house, and Maggie even sees him in a premonition, and like it's not really mentioned ever in the episode. She does text him to see, I haven't heard from you. How are you doing? We see that they've been texting back and forth, but we don't, there's no real conversation on exactly what's going on. He just says, I'm staying out of your way like you, are staying away like you wanted me to. But you see him looking around, and he's almost like in soldier mode, like going in to get whatever. So I have no idea if he saw the sister, if he went into this house. I don't know what he did. And I'm very curious. I really wish that we had seen more of that because it was actually a lot more interesting than what was going on with the faction. I know that sounds horrible, but it's true. But I did love the scene that, because, Maggie has panic attacks. We've already seen her have them last season. She passes out with the guardian. So she asks, because she's having a lot of self-doubt about being able to do anything. So she calls Jordan and she's like, first she checks on him and then she says, how do you do it? Like when you're in Afghanistan, how did you persevere and be able to do your job surrounded by all that death? And then he just kind of walks her into breathing and staying in the moment and focusing on the mission. And so that's how she's able to hold that tide, turn the tide spell by herself when Mel's unconscious and Macy ran off to go get her man. So props to Maggie this week because, she deserved it. But yeah, I was just like, there were so many instances where I was like, if only you had just sealed the damn door. But I digress. And then the whole thing with Hasty, though, there is a cute moment where They're talking, and Harry's going off to check the perimeter, and Macy gives him these earbuds, which basically are like they're like mind headphones, and the bug crawls in your ear, and I'm just like, I'm just me. I don't like bugs. That is horrifying. I'm like, no, no. No, but that's their love language, so we'll just let them have it. But Hasty basically has decided that they're going to continue their conversation about their relationship when everything is over. And in the end, when they're all at safe space, and we see Swan crying over the visionary. Because I'm telling you, there is more to Swan. I say this in every review. There's something up with Swan. I can't with anybody. I really think she possibly could be an elder. But she's something. And if she's not something, that is just bad writing, because she is too involved. She's always there, and that's weird. So having such a focus on Swan, having Swan be a reoccurring character when, in the CW land, normally reoccurring characters fade off very quickly, especially in Charmed. There's something about her. So I'm just really curious if they're going to reveal who Swan actually is, or what Swan actually is, but I digress. So Hasty, basically, they're watching the news, and everybody's like crying because Julian's dead, and then basically they said Viv and they basically said Julian and Viv died in an accident in his lab. And so everybody at Safe Space is crying because he's an investor. He pretty much at this point owns Safe Space, and now he's gone. So the visionary is gone. And of course, Harry's like, if you need some time, I understand, being alone. And Macy's like, I do want to be alone, basically, but with you. And they kind of walk off holding each other. And then Mel is with Ruby. And, they still have not worked out anything, because Ruby still does not want to be a witch. And Mel is a witch. She can't quit. She's a charmed one. But they're talking and they're drinking, and Ruby's like, well, where does this leave us? And then Mel says here and kisses her, and then Ruby starts coughing up black stuff, which we learn is ash, because when Viv touched the black amber pool, she poisoned all the magical world. So it's not over. So then the preview for next week is it's not, I keep saying next week. It's not coming back till February 14th, Valentine's Day. So the preview for this basically shows that they have to do something quick, because if they don't, all the magical world is going to die. When they looked at the map at the end of this episode, they saw demons and witches were all in red, so everybody is dying. And eventually the charmed ones will start coughing up ash too. But what got me, two things got me. One is that Mel has to be the one to sacrifice herself to save the entire magical world. She has to die. Two, they put Melvira on her grave, and her death was on freaking Valentine's Day. So the one character that is gypped the most in this series, who can't keep a girlfriend, can't have a stable relationship, has to take care of people, has to be the mediator, that person is gonna die on effing Valentine's Day. But she's not gonna die, because this is season 3, episode 2, and Mel's actress is not leaving the show. So if she does die, it'll probably be for a moment. But again, if you look at the trailer for season 3, it does not say Mel Flores. It says Mel Vera on the grave. Disgust, people. And also, why are there so many vines on the grave? As I said in my previous video when we were looking at season 3's trailer, my mother has been dead now going on 12 years, and I can see those type of plants on her grave. You have to clean off all the foliage from the grave. Not on a fresh grave. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm levels of confused right now. Is this a camera trick? Is that there just to make us wonder, or just to say whatever? I don't know. I mean, the date does say February 14th, 2021. That is Valentine's Day. I don't know. I'm not falling for it. I'm not going to fall for that. something else is going to happen. I mean, maybe on the episode it's going to, because we do see her, looks like she's talking to Abigail. We do see her talking to Abigail saying, I have to die, you know, for the magical world to live, which she's talking to Abby. Abby Mel, so excited. But I don't think that's what's going to play out, because you can't have Charmed without the three sisters that are Charmed ones. So I'm not too concerned, but I am curious how they're going to write their way out of this one. But yeah, I just feel bad that, of course, Mel's the one that has to. Of course it's Mel. And I know some of the theories that I heard, because I always say this, I try not to look at other people's reviews on Charmed because I don't want to be jaded. But there was something that a viewer actually said, I believe it was on one of my reviews last year, where when they first discovered the Guardian and they were talking about the previous Charm ones, the Power of Three, and that Mel had on red, nail polish when she was touching the book, indicating blood, that she was the one that was marked. And I could see that. But you mean, I don't need to have that visual. I know Mel is marked because everything happens to her. I'm like, she's always the one that gets the worst end of the stick in the show. So, I mean, think about it. Even from the first season, when Macy came in and said, oh yeah, I did our DNA test. Hey Maggie, me and you are actually full sisters. So yeah, Mel, you're just a half. I knew. That's why Mel is my favorite character. I love her, and she's the underdog in her own life. So... But hopefully, after this whatever train wreck happens on February 14th, the season will actually pick up with the new stuff, and it will be awesome. That is my hope. Because right now, I'm just like, all of this could have been avoided if you just sealed the beeping door. But that is my opinion, guys. I want to know what you guys think. So please leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you would like to sign up for jury duty, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like the news next on Nerd Bell, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it. But hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.